Hi.
Today I'm interviewing you with your upcoming event coming up, Under the Bridge 2025 at the Angel on the Bridge.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about it?
Excited. Anticipating a great gig. Yeah. So very excited. Thanks.
How many times have you done it now?
I started. Mark, the owner or the governor, I like to call him, um, used me for the first time in 2009 when he found out that I was a DJ. I've been doing it every year since 2009. Yeah. Wow. Got me thinking.
And how long have you been a DJ for?
I started DJing when I was around about 15 years old. Um, Born in South East London, very proud South East Londoner from a place called Peckham. My mum was massively into all styles of music, all genres. I remember in long distance car journeys, 1 minute she'd be playing Elkie Brooks, Neil Diamond, Soul, Tamla Motown. So my actual inspiration comes from my mother. And I didn't really fit in at school because I'm heavily dyslexic. So I was rescued really by the drama teacher, a guy called Peter Morris, and he brought me into the drama class. I joined the choir at 12, and that's really when performing started. And I loved being on stage. So I loved performing. I felt I was part of something because academically I was rubbish at everything else, and I was told I was a bit of a loser. And then with my mates, I used to tape off the radio and record like the top 100 songs, and I'd mix them. When I say mix, I used to just go tape it, get rid of the person, rewind, get rid of the person's voice who was the DJ, and then record the next song. And I'd have a big music system where I'd put my tapes in, and I would own the music and basically play it to all my friends wherever I went. So that's kind of really where I started to get involved in kind of like, yeah, entertaining with music. And then my aunt got me my first DJ equipment when I was 15. And then I started a small mobile disco called Street Life Mobile Disco. And I used to go from Sutton to Camberwell and Brixton doing gigs on my own with vinyls. So we all started with vinyls when I first started, and yeah, been doing it ever since, and love performing. You know, love the power that one song can do for one person. How a song can just bring memories back and takes people to a happy place. So yeah, it's an absolute honour to perform to people, and yeah, that's how I started.
Nice. And when you play music, obviously it brings everyone together, and that hasn't changed from when you said how you first started to now. But what has changed with the way that you DJ?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, technology's clearly changed everything. You know, from those. You know, you used to go when I used to go to a gig. I'd only have the vinyl that I took in my crates. So if someone requested a song you didn't have, you couldn't play it, right? So yeah. So one of the key things that's changed is that with Wi-Fi and all the things like Spotify, and you've got access to every single song, so you've got no excuse not to play or find a song that someone wants. So your library of songs is obviously increased. Technically, from just vinyl now, there's software that you can use, you can download onto your laptop that you can mix songs and tracks. So that's the big difference, really, is technology has changed. However, I still like playing vinyl. If you look at some of the top DJs, they still go back to what they know best. But for me, it's traditionally I use CDs, my iPod Classics, and my laptop, and occasionally vinyl.
How do you come up with playlists, and when do you know that you've chosen a good one?
Yeah, it's a good question. People think that I just play the same songs, right? But that's not how it works. You know, experienced DJs, you know, you take a gamble all the time. You play something different. You throw another song in that you didn't do last time. and all the tracks I play are to the audience in front of me. So when I do a festival like Regatta, for example, where every single day you've got a different mix of people from all over the world, I've really got to think about the crowd even more and who's coming in and who's going out. So I would say, like, I start my playlist January, so like 6 months before the gig, I'm already thinking, right, different songs I might try this year. But then on the day, I will also just spontaneously pick a track. And the unique thing that I take requests, right? So when you take requests and listen to what the audience want, that also changes the playlist, because I'm adding a song that someone just requested, and then I'm always thinking 3 tracks ahead. What songs could go with that? And what songs could I play before that track and after? So when you see me perform, for example, whilst there's a song playing, I've already decided what the next song is. I'm looking at the audience. How's that song going down? And then I'm already thinking about the 3rd track and also the 4th track. So my playlists, 80% of them are already filed and created, but then there's scope for the requests that I get, and then I will spontaneously also just change something around because the mood and the crowd change. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does. And you mentioned that you started preparing in January.
Yeah.
Will we be lucky enough to get a sneak peek of anything you're playing this year?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've really liked, I think it's really grown in the UK, is a lot of country music. There's really like real good country vibe. Clearly a lot of it's come over from the States, and I will be doing a longer set this year of like some really cool country music, with a little twist on it as well, you know. So, and in my 80s set in particular, I'm going to take a bit of risk and put some tunes in that I don't usually play. That's all I'll say.
Do you take any requests?
Yes. So I'm one of the rare DJs that take requests. A lot of DJs that aren't very good focus on what they want to play. Whereas for me, the reason why I get excited is that every gig I do is different, because every audience I perform for are going to request different songs. Okay, so I do take requests as long as you're polite. You know, one of the things I don't like is someone ordering me to play a song. But if you're polite, come up to the booth, ask for your song. Remember, I'm working, but during the regatta I have a great sidekick who supports me. His name's Ben. So Ben will take your requests and I will see if I can fit them into my playlist.
So obviously the event takes loads of planning and it keeps you busy throughout the whole regatta, which means you don't get to enjoy a lot of it for yourself.
Yeah.
What drives you to do that?
I like represent. This sounds a bit of a cliche, but I actually like, first of all, representing Henley-on-Thames. I'm very proud to live in Henley, and I'm very lucky to live in Henley. It's an amazing community, based of locals and immigrants that have come into Henley and made a very, very unique, special place. So to actually invite and have thousands of people to come into Henley, and it may be the only time they come in their lifetime, but to create an experience that's a one-off and unique event and be part of that, that drives me. You know, the people are amazing, the Henley. The venue is just a one-off, just like wow factor anyway. But I would say that what drives me is to create an experience for each individual that comes to Henley that they'll never forget. And whenever they think of Henley-on-Thames, they have the most amazing memories that they keep for a lifetime.
So Gary, so people in their 20s like to go to the go-to spots around Henley. What makes the Angel on the Bridge that spot this year?
Well, they've got a lot of choice, first of all. But why should they come to the Angel of the Bridge? Well, there's a few reasons. One has to be the venue itself. I mean, it's an iconic venue on the banks of the River Thames, under the bridge, which has been there hundreds of years. And when actually you come down to the terrace part, you kind of get lost in time and where you are. You wouldn't believe you're in Henley-on-Thames. So the venue itself, first of all, is just steeped with history on the banks of the River Thames. Secondly would be the service you get from the staff and the management. You know, it's a slick, well-oiled machine, if you like. The staff are fun, the staff are young, they're energetic, and it's a great team performance. Not just me, through to the security, through to the staff, the chefs. Everything is, I would say, world class. I would also say the songs, the music I play. You know, if you want a night of drum and bass, well, you're not going to get it from the Angel of the Bridge. But if you love the songs that your parents play when you're in the car, like 80s or noughties, then you're going to get your chance to hear all those songs and to sing out loud and enjoy the vibe. So why come to the Angel of the Bridge? Just for an experience that's a one-off, you know, and you'll want to come every year and you want to tell your friends. So why should you come to the Angel of the Bridge? Because it's a unique experience and a memory you'll have for a lifetime.
How do you know when you've had a good set?
How do I know when I had a good set? You get to a stage as a performer where you know you've got the audience in the palm of your hand. And I can't tell you when it is, but I know when it is. And every performer will say the same. And when you first start, you're working up to a certain crescendo. And I know that I get to a certain point where the audience are there, you know. And that's when I know I've got a great set. And the other time I know when I've had a great performance is when someone says one more song and I've already played the one more song and that's it, I'm done for the night. So when people come up to me and say keep going, and I say that's it folks, I know I've had a good set.
So like I'm sure everyone watching and me now wants to go to the Angel on the Bridge, this regatta. What do I need to know to get myself there?
Well, first of all, you've got to get there early. You know, Tuesday's free of charge for everyone. So I would say if you want to get easy access to the venue, to see us on our first performance and not pay entry fee, I first of all say come on a Tuesday. We start at 4, so the earlier the better. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is very busy. You know, you're going to be queuing up. So I would say get there early.